Thank you, Chair. Thank you, CG. I introduce myself as an investigator with KRA. Now, the investigations that we've so far undertaken is still at the preliminary stages, and these are just observations made so far. So in it, we've been recording statements. We've as well been analyzing all the entries that are pertained soapstones. Now, Chair, suffice to say is that all these entries were on soapstone carvings, not on soapstone as a crude mineral. Now, if you look at the HS coding, which is the harmonized system coding that regulates the ratings on tariffs of exports and imports, then we have various chapters under it. The chapter that deals with crude minerals, in this case, which would look at, which would rightfully say is soapstone and defined as natural statite, then we're saying that the coding is under 25, chapter 25. That is, if it is in its crude raw form. Now, when you talk of substantial changes happening on a mineral, then we have a separate chapter that deals with that. That is chapter 68. So to this extent, the officers that we have interrogated and taken statements for purposes of this investigation did the coding under 68, which recognizes articles of soapstone. That is, an article of soapstone in this case will be perhaps an animal carving, a necklace, a bangle, so on and so forth. So we are basically saying that the query was on minerals, exportation of minerals without export permits. In this case, what we have here is a soapstone carving, not a mineral in its crude form. And therefore, the coding that was done was under chapter 68 of the harmonized systems coding. Chair, while we recognize that all those exports on soapstone carvings did not have the export permit, we then again looked at a letter that came from the State Department of Mining, and in that letter, it is acknowledged that there's need for the requirement of export permit on soapstone and soapstone carving. So this is where the distinction for the very first time is drawn on soapstone and soapstone carvings. But historically and looking back, soapstone carvings are identified as articles of soapstone and not soapstone in its natural state. That is my submission, Chair.
So what are you saying in short?
So in summary, what I'm saying is that we did not require, as verification officers, we did not require that prerequisite, we did not require the export permit rather on the soapstone carvings. The goods description on these entries were soapstone carvings. Were it soapstone, then we would require those permits, Chair.
So your submission is that what was exported was not soapstone, but soapstone carvings.
Right, Chair.
And that soapstone carvings do not form part of soapstone as a mineral.
Yes, if you were to look at the HS coding that regulates the exportation, the coding of tariff.
No, I assume you are just laymen and lay persons here. Don't know about those codings.
Yes, Chair.
You're talking about soapstone and soapstone carvings.
Yes, Chair.
At what point does do they stop being a mineral?
I'll take you back to the HS coding again.
Yes.
And in layman's language, under chapter 25 of that HS coding, when a mineral undergoes substantial change, then it is not classified. It's not rightful for us as a customs officer to classify it as a mineral, but rather as an article of that mineral.
Those codings
codings.
Okay. So can you reconcile them with the Mining Act 2016?
Yes. Now, if you look at the Mining Act 2016, in its interpretative section, it recognizes soapstone as a mineral. Actually, there should be legal notice through legal notice number, legal notice number 62 of 2017 rather. Sorry, it is classified under construction mineral within the meaning of the Mining Act. So soapstone is a mineral as per the Mining Act.
Yes.
Yes. However, when you look at the HS coding, it redefines further a mineral for purposes of us having proper classification for exportation, importation purposes. So the HS coding goes on to segregate what a mineral is and what a product of a mineral is. That's what I'm referring to as an article of the mineral, in this case, soapstone. Now, where we have an article or a product of the mineral, then it is not a requirement under the HS coding for there to be a mineral, an export permit.
Now, sorry, you're just fine. So what supersedes what? The HS, or we call it, we're calling it what?
The
HS coding. Or the Mining Act?
No, the HS coding, Chair, is an internationally ratified document, so that it guides all jurisdictions that have.
What I've asked is very simple.
Sorry, Chair.
Yes, I asked a very simple question. In your interpretation of the law.
Yes.
Okay. Which law supersedes the other?
In this case, it will be the HS coding.
Or rather, is there a contradiction between the Mining Act 2016 and the HS coding? Do you find a contradiction?
I wouldn't say tentatively, Chair, that it is a contradiction, because one end, the Mining Act talks about soapstone. However, the HS coding defines it further. So it's a matter of harmonizing.
Yeah, I think that we move. You know, the codings is inferior to the laws passed by this house. Am I right?
That is true.
And that's why the finance bill, when we pass, or the tax procedure, or the VAT law, what you are saying will just come in terms of coding. That law supersedes it.
Of course, the law supersedes.
So please, let's work on the Mining Act. Because the role of KRA here is just only why were these people exporting miners an export license. Okay? So let's not go to the codings. And even laws outside, international laws, as you said, for them to be applicable, they must be ratified here. You know, that's why when we did last week double taxation. For double taxation to take effect, the House must say something, even for KRA. So I think, so what the chairman is asking you is, between the Mining Act and the
HS coding.
And the HS coding. It's good to hear, but you'll give me a copy. It's a very good, looks like a very good document. I think the Mining Act of 2016 supersedes.
But even when we are still at that point, before Honorable Gichu Mangi makes a comment, as our internal Wakili and Honorable Luke, help me understand again. In your understanding of what minerals mean, when you do value addition to a mineral, does it cease being a mineral? Or are there instances where one would undertake value addition on a specific mineral, of whatever nature, be it soapstone, salt, what have you?
Yeah, maybe I cannot respond to that.
I wish you allow her to do it, because
Chair, like I said, and I humbly submitted,
yes,
that we are in the process of getting deeper into this issue. And you can see we have done quite some work. We want to have very conclusive findings, but with respect to whether when you add value to a mineral, it changes its character, I think that question would better be answered by the ministry.
Yes.
Because then the ministry will prescribe how it wants minerals to be handled. When you add value, when it is raw, and when you add value to that mineral.
But your plain reading of the Mining Act 2016, but does it give you an indication that the framers of that law, which is Parliament, had intended that through value addition minerals would change character in terms of the way they are treated? Plain reading of that act.
I do not think that the intention was for them to change character.
Yes.
But that particular question would be dealt with through the ministry. The Ministry of Mining Because what happens, Chair, is that as an authority, we facilitate the movement of goods cross-border.
Yes.
And there are very many, those goods. What we do, we try as much as possible to guide our officers on how to operate. And sometimes that is why we have even set up laboratories, so that when a matter needs to be further analyzed,
Yes.
they can take it there. For example, even if for us, we see the material to make that suit here you are wearing is different from the suit which you are wearing.
Yes.
And they are treated differently for the purposes of tax.
Yes.
And even for, but if a law is passed saying that suits should be dealt this way, and materials for suits should be dealt this way, that's what we are going to.
Correct.
That's what we are going to follow. So we are pursuing this line. We said we will make preliminary observations, but Chair, the request I'm making is that we can submit a full report to this committee. Upon finalization of that, that will be our humble.
I will allow you to continue the submission, but then our concern was, even in your preliminary observations, through the gracious lady, you are trying to conclude, albeit so prematurely, that this particular item didn't require export permit. That was our concern.
We have not concluded, Chair.
Sure, yes.
If they have made that conclusion, I withdraw that conclusion.
That was a call from her submission.
Yes, I withdraw that from her submission,
Yes.
so that you allow us to get deeper into this. And we will also answer that question that has been asked here, whether the export of mineral in crude or in any improved aspect changes its character.
Okay.
We will answer that as well.
No, Chair, now that the Commissioner General has withdrawn,
Okay.
then I will not ask.
Okay, fine. Just proceed, so that we don't lose sight of the issues here.
Chairman, allow me now to... You know, I came with a team here, and you must also... I would ask the Commissioner of Customs to respond on the issue from where I left about soapstone. I think
You were in soapstone. Where were you? Sorry.
we have just dealt with soapstone, Chair, and where we have requested, because our investigation is in progress.
That's page 5.
Yes, page 5 of 8.
Okay. Yes.
Because we have a problem with
in mining, what we've gone ahead to do after our last meeting. So below is a summary of the letters submitted before the committee by the Ministry of Petroleum and Mining querying the irregular export of permit. So KRA wishes to say that it did not receive any of the letters listed in the table below. In our last meeting, the submission was that the Ministry of Mining had sent some letters to KRA. We've checked our records, we've checked our registered, and we've trailed through and confirmed that. Basically, based on the breakdown below, let me take us through the table. So table 3 is a list of letters shared with the committee in respect to irregular exports of minerals by the Ministry of Mining and Petroleum. So these 3 letters, based on what was sent from the ministry, we've tabulated the date sent from ministry and our comments. So the first letter, as from
Just summarize.
Yes, okay.
We can see
so
them.
We are saying
Yes.
we did not receive,
Didn't receive
any,
them.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes, yes. So
Next table.
Table 4 highlights additional letters that the ministry has written to KRA querying irregular export of minerals. These were received by KRA on 25th May 2021. So all these letters were received on the same date, 25th of May 2021.
So there are only three that we didn't receive.
Yes.
The first 3 letters.
Yes, yes.
The ones of okay, fine.
Those 3, and then the table. So table 4 now outlines all the others that were
Okay,
received.
proceed.
Yes. Then so table 4 lists of letters sent to KRA by the Ministry of Petroleum. So we are saying KRA has written to the Ministry of Petroleum and Mining via this letter referenced 5632 dated 15th June 2021 to seek the ministry's clarification. Page 6. So KRA has written this to the ministry to seek the ministry's clarification on delivery of the letters in table 3 and 4 above, based on what I've explained. And under appendix 4, we put a copy of the letter. And then we're saying, in terms of way forward, A, KRA has written to the ministry to verify the authenticity of the export permits provided under Appendix 5. B, KRA has commenced investigations on clearing agents, exporters, and staff whom have illegally facilitated the exports of the minerals and will take necessary action to ensure the authorities' accountability and further forestall such occurrence in future. C, as a mitigation measure to ensure we prevent any future revenue loss, KRA has enhanced this process to integrate with Kentrade and and ICMS to ensure we have clear processes. And then D, KRA has further engaged the Ministry of Petroleum and Mining to ensure they are accredited in the single window system to enable them approve permits. So this will eliminate the manual issuance of permits. But also the ministry has confirmed via a specific letter that they're now on the Kentrade system.
So, Chair, as what we are noting here, Chair, is that other than Adonai, where we talked about gemstone, which we are investigating, and the soapstone, which we didn't have permits, but we are investigating, we have provided the permits for gold. We have indicated the issue of salt, being that the ministry has not finalized the framework for salt. But after leaving here, Chair, we decided even if the ministry has not finalized that framework for salt, we are going to stop all salt exports without permits until they finalize and provide that framework. And Chair, and now those who are exporting salt are doing so under permit, and those who do not have cannot export.
Now, fine. Let me just ask two or three questions, and then together with the Honorable Gichovi Mwangi's question, then we proceed from there with the rest of my... from your table 2, I'll take you back to table 2. You have first indicated that in respect of gold exports, you have got what we are calling export permits. Okay? You need to just go on record that you have since authenticated that these export permits in respect of the gold exports were valid.
Chair, what we have stated is that we have in our record the export permits. We retrieved those permits and we shared those permits with the Ministry of Mining.
Yes.
It is only the Ministry of Mining can authenticate those permits. However, we give the process of export so that to give the understanding that the exports are, when exports are being done, we said that verification of the precious metal and stones is done in the presence of an official from the mines and geology.
We shall come to that.
Yes.
Just help us understand, because the reason why we gave you more time really was for you to go back, establish this documentation, and help us with the authentication. So I would have expected that by now, perhaps you have gotten a confirmation from the ministry as to whether these export permits were valid or not. That's really what would help us. Not.
Yes.
So when did you reach out to them?
We did a letter, it must have been dated 15th of June.
Yes.
But they haven't come back to us.
So in short, from where you sit,
yes,
you cannot vouch for the authenticity of these export permits in respect of the gold exports in question.
Maybe, Chair, let me ask Commissioner to comment.
Because we need very definitive responses to this.
Thank you, Chair. So, as the Commissioner General has said, we wrote to the Ministry and we are waiting for their responses. But, Chair, I wish to highlight that from the evidences that we have put in terms of the export entries and the permits, the verification was done jointly with the mining officer. And we even have the name of the officer who conducts that.
We shall deal with that.
Yes. So, we have a representative
My next
of the
question.
Ministry of Mining.
In respect of gemstones, you have indicated that Adonai Trading and Logistics Company Limited exported gemstones without an export permit. Is that true?
Chair, what we have said is that we have not traced an export permit in our records relating to that particular company, and that is what we are investigating.
But you have confirmed that they did export the gemstone.
In our record, yes, they exported gemstone.
But there is no
What
evidence of an export permit.
What we do not have in our record, and which we are checking, Chair,
Yes.
because a record can be misplaced, or a record can, anything can happen. We are investigating that particular issue, Chairman.
Now, my third question, and perhaps last one, or second last one. You have categorized some of the gemstone exports as re-imports. What do you mean by re-imports? And how do they differ from exports?
I will ask the Deputy Commissioner here, Kaguru, to comment on that.
Thank you, honorable members, and thank you, CG. A re-import, honorable Chair, is a consignment that has been sent to an importer on the other end, assuming America, but when it reaches there, it fails some test, or there are disagreements between the exporter and the importer, and the product is sent back to Kenya. But in this particular case, the evidence we have is that it did not meet the standards when it went out there, so it was brought back to Kenya. When it comes back to Kenya, because it is the same product that left here, and we have that evidence as customs officers, we enter it on another entry which we call a re-import entry. And in this particular case, what we did, after getting these re-import entries, we went further in our system to check for the export entries that had exported this product initially, and we confirmed that the permits were there, and these permits we have copies attached. Thank you, Chair.
So you are saying that in terms of the re-imports, you have got the export permits?
We have the export permit at the point when they were exported. We have the export entry, we have the export permit, the invoices which the CG referred to, and we have all the supporting documents for that exportation. However, now when it comes back, it comes as an re-import, and we enter it on a different
But you see, we never asked you for anything about re-imports. Our interest was on the export of these minerals and the requisite export permits. So just give us a definite answer that in respect of these three exporters, that is Timothy Ryan, Clean Jewelry Incorporate, and Villain Bain, they had the requisite export permits when these minerals left the country, left Kenya to wherever.
Yes, Honorable.
Where they came back or not is not the issue here for now.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Yes, we are confirming that we had export permits as at the point which they were being exported.
And again, you are saying that those export permits, you cannot vouch for the authenticity.
Honorable
Because
Chair.
remember, the Ministry of Petroleum and Mining, which is the authority that is supposed to issue these export permits, through none other than the Cabinet Secretary, is saying they never issued such export permits to these entities for those consignments. They are telling us. And we are asking you that is it true for sure that they made these exports without the requisite export permit? You are now saying yes. You are now saying they did export but with export permits. So the question is, where did these export permits come from if they didn't originate from the Ministry of Petroleum and Mining? So that's what we are trying to find out as a committee.
Chair, maybe I can let me comment on that.
Yes.
We have gone to our records, Chair, and we are not valid. Chair, we shall then consider that matter as a criminal matter because it's a falsification of documents presented to us by an importer.
Okay.
And then we shall deal with it as such.
Okay, and to finish quickly on my part. Last question. On salt, you have, in your response, not helped the matter at all. Because you are neither telling us that salt requires export permits, nor again telling us that these exports that happened had export permits. In short, you are taking the position of the salt exporters who are here before us, some of them, okay, of the salt exporters. So I just want to ask you, if you look at your submission on page 5, and I'll just go page 5 first. The first paragraph on page 5, that since salt has never been integrated in the mining legislative framework for the Ministry of Petroleum and Mining prior to the Gazette notice of 26 March 2021, a mining permit from salt exports was therefore not a prerequisite for KRA to clear salt exports. That paragraph is totally confusing. Because the question we're asking you, is it clear to KRA that the Mining Act 2016, upon coming into effect, required that all salt exports must be accompanied by the requisite export permits? The answer can only be yes or no, from KRA's standpoint. To the salt miners who are here, their position was that they are not sure even if whether salt is a mineral or not. They took us through a very long argument here. They're even disputing that salt is a mineral, the salt they are dealing in. But now you are trying to exempt them, okay? Using a justification which does not stand on its feet, legally speaking. If you look at critically the Mining Act 2016 and the related regulations, so just help us understand what you meant by this paragraph. From where you sit, since the coming into being of the Mining Act 2016, is it your position that salt exports require export permits or not? Then we can pick it up from there.
To us, Chair, the Ministry of Mining was supposed to provide, and they have said they were supposed to, they had to take steps to provide the relevant guidelines, and that is why they wrote that letter telling us they have appointed a task force. They addressed it to us to deal with that particular issue. It means even them, if they required the permit, the salt not to be exported without a permit, they should have stated it at that point. But you see, they are talking about creating a task force for the purpose of legislative framework.
Commissioner General.
Yes, Chair.
Let me even bring you home. We have passed the finance bill last week. It's been assented to by the president. It has come into law. Am I right?
Yes.
If some people go to the Minister for National Treasury and say that we have a problem with this law and form a task force, and he purports to form a task force, he has the powers, he gazettes it, does that affect the powers given to you under the Finance Act 2021? Does it change?
It doesn't.
Does it? Yes.
So the same applies to this. The Mining Act is a law passed, assented to. In fact, it's been assented to by the president on 6 May 2016. And that law was giving effect to Articles 60, 62, 69, and 71 of the Constitution.
Yeah.
So this task force of 26th of March is just, it's not a law. Yeah, there was a Mining Act and there was a regulation.
Yes.
And I'm sure KRA has got a very serious legal directory that can. So I think, in fact, it is very wrong, and I think you should withdraw it. The argument you have used here is the same argument these salt miners, they are peddling in the streets, and even when they came to this committee and we told them. Between a task force and a law, which one do we follow?
Chair, we follow the law.
Yeah, so I think that one is not holding. That task force is what, marine resort and everybody has been using and we told them, if they have a problem, like today, if somebody has a problem with the finance bill, Finance Act, in fact not Act, Finance Act of 2021, they can only go to court, and unless the court gives you an order not to, certain sections not to be operationalized, or an amendment is done in the House, you will follow the law that was given to you. So we have told the ministry, they have the powers through the cabinet to come and amend that section if they want to listen to the salt miners, the salt companies. But for KRA and for the ministry, as long as that act exists, they must abide by it. So this task force, I will even ask you through maybe chair that you don't use it, because that is what the salt miners have been using both inside and outside, and it doesn't hold any water.
And if you want to see a further contradiction, you look at your second paragraph on page 5. You are saying that in spite of all this, however, exporting entities will henceforth be required to provide valid export permits. So on what basis are you therefore going to demand for these export permits? While on the other hand, you are saying that you're waiting for the ministry to furnish you with the guidelines. You can only take one position. You can't take two positions on a single matter like this one.
Chair.
Yes.
We did not at that point in time ask for export permits for salt as KRA. However, we have also taken note that
yes,
the ministry that is responsible for this particular process wrote to us and to the stakeholders, telling them that they are developing that framework to govern the exportation of salt. That is number 2, Chair. Number 3, when we left here and we went to and we attempted to implement the permit requirement, we were already taken to court and we got a court order.
When?
It must be in the last 2 weeks.
No, we see the evidence of those court orders.
Yes, we have a court order, Chair. It's here.
We want to see who is this that is trying to stop who.
We have gotten this is the matter of Nairobi High Court Judicial Review application number E096 of 2021, Republic versus Kenya.
Do you have copies?
Yes, Chair.
Where are they? Now, who has taken you to court, in short?
We have taken to court by Crystalline Salt Limited, Karua Salt Limited, Malindi Salt Works,
the whole consortium of salt people.
And Ken Salt Limited.
Yes.
And they have obtained an order against us.
What is the order saying, in short?
We are supposed to allow export of salt as the matter is being heard and determined without the permit.
Yes. And we are used to this kind of things when CG, even though we respect other arms of government, the judiciary, okay? As a committee, we are seized of this matter. And of course, these are attempts by those characters to avoid coming before us again, citing the rule of sub judice. We shall deal with that. We shall deal with that. What we want to know is the position of KRA on this matter, even before the court the court intervened.
So, Chairman, the position we have taken is in line with this committee.
Yes.
That we shall that when we read the law, it may not have been clear to us earlier.
Yes.
But when we read the law afresh,
yes,
we have taken the position that salt requires a permit.
Yes.
We may not have held that position earlier when this matter was being dealt with, but after rereading it, we have held that position now that salt export requires permit. And that is why we have advised all our officers across the borders to demand for a permit. And we have not allowed a single consignment to leave. However, that has led to this particular action. And now we are supposed to allow, the order is here very clear, Chair, although we have appealed, we have not allowed, so what we have done is to appeal for stay of this order. And in the meantime, it means we will not allow any export of salt without a permit.
But now you appreciate the kind of issues you're dealing with.
Yes, Chair.
Okay? Let me leave it at that point, members, and pick it up.
I think, DG, what you need to do, these people have gone to court because when they appear before this committee, for your information, the four major salt companies, Malindi, Kurawa, Crystalline, they confessed and went on record that they have exported huge quantities of salt outside the country. And the only recourse they had was this task force, this amorphous task force. So I think what KRA needs to do, I think, as you continue with your investigation, is one, that you, you can, and you have got investigators sitting here, you can walk to the Ministry of Mining, you know, your people go everywhere. So if you can go to the Ministry of Mining and tell them, verify for us these export permits. You know, you have written a letter on the 15th, and the PS is not responding. In fact, he's very busy trying to implement the task force. We are aware of that. You know, trying to sanitize. Maybe his officers were involved. But I think you need to send your officers and say, these are the permits. 1 day, 2 days, they can verify for years, number one. Number two, I think the Commissioner for Border Control can help us get this committee the quantities they have exported. Because they have been directed to bring, when they said we have exported huge quantities, the chair has directed that they bring what they have exported since 2016.
Yes.
So I think it's good also KRA to give, this is the quantity they have exported, subject to the verification of the permits. And I think that will solve a lot of issues. But you see now, after they left here, they've gone to court. And that tells you the magnitude of the problem, that they know where they have been cornered. I mean, the Auditor General has cited them in paragraph 1445 and paragraph 1443. They have been cited in 2017, 2018, 2019 audit report, so they know what they're doing. And the only thing they're hiding, and please, I hope you will withdraw that statement of the task force. It cannot be part of your record. It cannot be part of your record. Because that is not a task force. In fact, if it has concluded and it has given recommendation to government for implementation, it's a different thing. This task force has not even set. Everybody who comes here is only bringing the Gazette notice establishing it. You know, we have not seen any
outcome,
any minute of their meeting, their recommendation, their outcome. Everybody from the ministry to the importers. So I think don't go that route of task force. KRA always is diligent to the law. There are many people who have gone to court this week and last week based on the Finance Act that was assented to. Until otherwise the court says, and you'll appeal and your lawyers will be there. So the Mining Act, and tell your lawyers to read the Mining Act and see how salt has been defined, how soapstone has been defined, how gold has been defined in that act.
Chair, I wanted to know from the DG. These people have been from this country without permits. If you export without a permit, do you pay anything, any money to KRA? Have we been paid any money for that export? Or is it just for free?
Chair, I can ask Deputy Commissioner Kaguro here to respond to that.
Okay.
Thank you. Honorable Chair. Thank you, Honorable Chair. The minerals, we don't charge any taxes. The only thing we charge is a processing fee of 250 shillings. There are no taxes, Honorable Chair.
I didn't get you right.
There are no taxes on those minerals. What we charge is a processing fee for exports of 250 shillings.
Yeah, yeah.
Where we have an issue is the royalties.
Yes.
That is where we have a huge amount of money that is supposed to be paid and the permit fees.
Yes.
But for KRA, we are not collecting any taxes
Yeah, yeah.
on that. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Yes, Honorable.
Verification of those permits, as stated, before we even move forward, we need to determine
Yeah.
the validity of those permits that you're talking about. As soon as yesterday.
Chair, we are very clear on terms of that we have given the ministry the permits. We will further, if they do not respond to us, we will extend our investigation to the ministry.
That is fine, yes, but you see, apart from the authenticity, there's also the issue of those ones which are still missing, which you are saying out in record.
The one for Adonai, yes, which we are looking at.
Adonai.
But for gold, yes, we are okay. I think for gemstone is where we have Adonai.
Yes.
And for salt, we are clear.
Of course, there's none. For salt?
For salt, we had not taken the position that permits were required.
And
then,
for soapstone?
For soapstone, yes, that investigation is in progress.
What are you investigating for soapstone?
Chair, we always, first of all, it is important for us to investigate because when our officers undertake a decision, they do it on the basis of a certain interpretation. So we have to go and find out, first, do we have permits in record? That's number one. And if the permits are not there, then we have to find out why did the officers not require the permit. Yeah, because we've got to understand the law they relied on and to take that kind of a decision. So we have to, if we are not satisfied with that, then we have to extend that investigation to include those officers if they did not take a decision properly supported in law, and the importer or the exporter.
Okay.
Because we do not encourage people not to do what they're supposed to do.
Okay. And I suppose under the law, Banasiji, you have got investigative powers over many people. As far as matters taxation is concerned. So, when you say we are able to investigate these export permits from the ministry's end, how long will that take? I would imagine that you would have swung into action and just one afternoon require statements from everybody in that office, in that ministry, and then give us the result.
Yeah, we did not take it that way. We took it first to write to them and give the PS, the accounting officer there, some time to respond. So what we will do after this now, since we have already written and they have not responded.
Please just take us that letter. I'm trying to look for it, I can't get it. Which appendix is that? Because that is critical, as Honorable Bara is saying. Until we get to know whether these export permits were fake or not, we cannot proceed to determine. Yeah.
Annex 5, I think.
Appendix 5?
Yes.
Sorry. Are you sure? Annex or appendix? Oh. 15th of June. Okay. Okay. And we are saying the PS has not responded to a letter since 15th of June.
Yes, but now we need to do the required follow-up.
Yes.
Because we have to give anybody some reasonable time.
Yes.
To peruse their records and do their internal processes.
Yes.
Now that we believe from 15th of June to now is reasonable.
Yes.
We would then follow up. So through now the investigative aspect of it.
So how long more would you want to come back to us with the findings? If we are to move in now from let's say tomorrow, can we by Monday get to know whether these permits were fake or not?
No, Chair. The investigative process also is a process that is a legal process.
Yeah.
And for the purposes of evidence, we normally summon people properly.
Okay.
So probably maybe you would give me some 2 weeks.
2 weeks. 2 weeks from today. Yes.
Just out of interest on a statement from the gentleman here on the re-imports. And you told us that these are exports that were rejected and sent back. Now, when we are exporting, I am sure as a country we have standards or certain parameters that we follow that these goods must meet, isn't it? So when they go out there and you're told that they have been sent back, do you go back to find out exactly, or are these some of the exports that were also going through that did not even meet our standards in the first place? Are we able to determine that when you do your investigations?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. As the CG indicated, we work very closely with the mining people, and we have a mining officer at the airport. So when these minerals are rejected and they are brought back, we receive them together, and they actually confirm that these are the same minerals that were taken out, because they are the experts. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Bwana CG. I'm looking at page 2 of 8. Page 2 of 8. And one of my requests, before I ask the question, maybe next time it would be important for you to provide us with the index of what these terms mean. GM, the GM, KG, You know, some of us are not technical. Some of us are lawyers here. So it's important. Then the next question, I wanted to know, on the estimated levy, is it based on quantities, or what is it based on? Because from the calculations which I've done here, this table does not add up, whatever has been given here. It is not correct. What is the export levy based on? So that I can ask the next question.
Chair, let me ask Deputy Commissioner Kaguru here to do, although this export levy, I thought it was 2,000 shillings.
For everything?
I think it must be per entry, but let him.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. The levy, the information we have gathered from the mining staff is based on the value of the goods. This estimated levy, it is not based on the quantity that we have given here. Unfortunately, we did not include the value.
Because if you look at Jamestown, if you look at 1 gram, is being charged 2,000. Number 4, which is 16,000 grams, is still 2,000.
This 2,000 shillings share is the permit fees.
For any quantity.
For any quantity. However, there is a loyalty fees.
Yeah. Oh,
when
okay.
you get
That's
deeper into this entry, you will notice that the loyalty fees for some of these consignments was 74,000.
Okay, thank you.
Honorable
I want us to stop at that point, this point rather. And the
responses, and it relates to also this document. So when you make your responses, make reference to the 1445-1, so that at a glance you know what you are making reference to.
Yeah.
But when you now bring your own order, then there's a bit of confusion.
Okay.
Okay. It makes it easy and we move faster.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa.
Yeah, sorry, we will do it. We will comply fully.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Amburu, once again. Yeah. And I wish you all the best in your endeavors to help us unravel this mystery. Yeah.
To thank you and your members for having, first of all, given me a few minutes when I came late, and for allowing us to articulate these issues and even clarify and even helping us moving forward do our work. Thank you very much.
Good. Next witness.